The City Council of Highland Park meeting for November 14th, 2022 is called to order. Could I have a roll call, please?
Councilmember Tapia.
Present.
Councilmember Stolberg.
Here.
Councilmember Stone.
Here.
Councilmember Holloman.
Here.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Here.
Presiding Officer Bloomberg.
Here. Good evening. I'm the presiding officer this evening since Mayor Rodering cannot be here. We do this in a particular order, and at this point, I'm going to call for us all to do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we head into the heart of this evening's meeting, as we all know, there was a fatal shooting that occurred at the University of Virginia in the parking garage today. 3 people were killed and others were wounded. A student is suspected in the attack and is in custody. We know too well that we are living in a nation filled with fear of gun violence. This is a human rights violation and it needs to stop. Our hearts are with the University of Virginia students, faculty, staff, and their families. We are relieved to hear that students from Highland Park attending UVA are reported to be safe on campus. I ask that we take a moment of silence to remember the lives lost and keep those who were injured and their families in our heart. Thank you. Next, our approval of minutes. Could I have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular City Council meeting held on October 11th, 2022 as amended, and approval of the minutes of the regular City Council meeting held on October 24th, 2022?
So moved.
Second.
We can have a voice vote on that. All in favor? Aye. Those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Next, may I have a motion for the approval of the warrant list?
So moved. Second.
We need a roll call vote on that.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Stolberg.
Aye.
Councilmember Stone.
Aye.
Councilmember Holloman.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Presiding Officer Bloomberg.
Aye. 6 ayes, no nays. The warrant list is approved. Other business, there are no appointments. There are no proclamations this evening. I do want to address the GFOA Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. For the 28th consecutive year, the Government Finance Officers Association, the GFOA, has recognized the City of Highland Park with the Distinguished Budget Presentation Award. This award reflects the city's commitment to maintaining the highest standards of governmental budgeting. The GFOA holistically assesses an entity's annual budget document, evaluating how well it serves the community as a policy document, a financial plan, an operations guide, and a communications device. In honoring the city's dedicated work to produce a clear, accessible, and comprehensive budget document, GFOA recognizes the city's commitment to providing its residents with clear and transparent policy, planning, and budgeting. In particular, I'd like to recognize City Manager Gita Newkirk, Finance Director Julie Logan, the Finance Department staff, and all department directors for this outstanding achievement. We encourage everyone to visit the cityhpil.com/budget to view the budget document. And I want to add that during the time that I've been on the City Council, the budget has become exceptionally clear, easy to follow where the money comes from and goes to. Next, is there any business from city staff?
Yes, there is. We have 3 reports this evening. The first one is the Aging in a Changing Region program is a partnership between the Metro Mayor's Caucus, the firm Planning and Aging, and the Chicago Metropolitan Agency for Planning. This program provides support through workshops for staff and elected officials, as well as providing targeted technical assistance to seniors. I do want to recognize our Deputy City Clerk, Ashley Palvitska, who serves as a primary staff lead on this initiative. working also in close partnership with our senior center staff. We held a community workshop on October 27th, where we spoke to members of the community to understand their greatest needs on this topic in terms of aging in place. We also received feedback from approximately 350 respondents from a community survey that we issued. We have a second workshop coming up on November 30th, as you can see here on the screen. It's from 6 to 8 at the Highland Park Country Club. We encourage everyone in the community to attend this. Again, we are very interested in people's feedback, whether they care for a loved one, have a senior in their home interested in this topic. We are looking for your feedback. If you have any questions, you can contact the city manager's office, talk to Deputy Clerk Val Vitska, and the input form is located on the city's website at the link that is shown on the screen above. The second topic is the setup for the temporary memorial at the Rose Garden was complete and open on Friday, November 11th. Do want to give special recognition to our Public Works Department, led by Director Ron Bannon and Deputy Director Joe O'Neill, as well as recognize Assistant City Manager Aaron Jason and Communications Manager Amanda Civitello for the significant amount of work that was undertaken in preparing the Rose Garden for this beautiful area where people can come, grieve, pay their respects, and more. This area includes new planting, new benches. We have personalized plaques for each of the 7 lives that were murdered. We work with each of the families of the next of kin to get specific information of what they wanted on their loved ones' plaques. We have an information sign at the entry of the garden. And do want to also recognize our resource partners. On November 11th, we had counselors and case managers on site from Family Service of Lake County, as well as Highwood Library and Community Center that were on site to provide assistance. We also partnered with Soul Harbor Ranch based out of Barrington, and we had therapy ponies on site as well as therapy dogs to provide assistance and care to anyone who visited that site. Most important, we want to just tell the public that we are here to provide any service and assistance that they may need. So please feel free to contact any one of our resource partners listed on our website, or certainly contact the city if there are any questions or recommendations for us. This temporary memorial site will remain in place until a permanent memorial has been established. The mayor and the city council, for public information, we're going to have a public discussion at our January 23rd Community of the Whole workshop. That agenda will be finalized 1 week prior, but again, watch the e-news and social media for information about the discussion on the framework for the permanent memorial. But at this time, no decisions have been made pertaining to that. And then third, want to provide some shop local reminders.
Excuse me, could I ask a question?
Yes, of course.
I was just at Central on St. John's late this afternoon, and I realized that the signs, I believe, have been removed. In other words, guiding people to the Rose Garden. And I was just wondering if we didn't feel that was still necessary just to have up, or you think because it's just to direct people to go to the Rose Garden. They were in English and Spanish. I just wanted to know.
Sure, yep.
That was wind or if that was intentional.
Sure. On the bottom left screen here, the 2 plaques in that photo, those are the new plaques that are in place, both in English and Spanish, at Central and St. John's.
Great.
And they do refer to the temporary permanent space at the Rose Garden.
Great, I couldn't see that from where I was, so that's wonderful. Thank you.
They're located in the landscaped area, but just to the right of where the other signs were.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, the next screen, just want to provide some reminders as we approach this upcoming holiday season. We have over 800 businesses in Highland Park, and so we are encouraging the community and all your friends, family, loved ones, everyone to take advantage and support our local businesses. And now more than ever, it's important to shop, dine, and use the services in Highland Park to support our local businesses and do everything that we can to help continue to make sure that they thrive in our community. According to our business development manager, Carolyn Hirsch, for every $100 spent at a local business, approximately $65 to $75 returns to our local economy in the form of employment, services, and support for local organizations and schools. I won't read this, but we are providing reminders to the public about the importance of shopping locally, as well as opportunities of how they could take advantage and support our local business. So what's shown here on the screen are just a number of different examples that people can do. There's different stores, restaurants, service establishments where you could support, buy gift cards, tag on social media, so various different opportunities to support our local businesses, many of which are also our neighbors. So we thank the community and encourage you to do so. That concludes our staff report.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Any business from the city council? Great. Any business from the public on matters not on tonight's agenda? I see nothing. Do we don't have anything online anymore, do we?
No.
Okay. Next, on to scheduled business, we have a massive omnibus bill. We have 30 items that have been grouped together for omnibus consideration. I know that Councilmember Stone has asked to pull 21, 22, and 23, so if I could have a motion on 1 through 20 and 24 through 30.
So moved. Second.
Could we have a roll call vote on that?
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Stolberg.
Aye.
Councilmember Stone.
Aye.
Councilmember Holloman.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Presiding Officer Bloomberg.
Aye. I have 6 ayes and no nays. That motion passes. Councilmember Stone, with respect to 21, 22, and 23.
I'm going to turn it over to Corporation Counsel. There were some errors in the document that don't affect the content.
That is correct. It's actually just item 22, but it's fine that all 3 of these be considered together in any event, so it was smart to pull them all together. In the development agreement, that's contemplated to be approved by item number 22. You'll note that it's a second amendment, and we did it in black line format. The black line is correct, and if you look at it on my screen, it's correct, but when we emailed it to the city, some of the black lining and the Roman numerals and margins got out of place. We assure you that it'll be correct, we have the correct version, but it would be in order to note that it is approved subject to the city corporation council correcting the format.
Thanks. So I would like to make a motion to approve those 3 items, subject to correcting that formatting error.
Second.
Roll call vote, please.
Councilmember Tapia.
Aye.
Councilmember Stolberg.
Aye.
Councilmember Stone.
Aye.
Councilmember Holloman.
Aye.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Aye.
Presiding Officer Bloomberg.
Aye. That's 6 ayes and no nays. 21, 22, and 23 are approved. Now on to 31, which is a public hearing for proposed fiscal year 2023's budget. Pursuant to Chapter 65 of the Illinois Compiled Statutes and Chapter 31 of the Highland Park Code, I hereby call to order the public hearing on the fiscal year 2023 proposed city budget. Pursuant to statute and ordinance, notice of this public hearing was published on November 3rd, 2022 in the Highland Park News. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Tapia.
Present.
Councilmember Stolberg.
Here.
Councilmember Stone.
Here.
Councilmember Holloman.
Here.
Councilmember Littlewer.
Here.
Presiding Officer Bloomberg.
Here. I declare the public hearing on the fiscal year 2023 budget open. I will now turn the public hearing over to the city manager, Gita Newkirk, and finance director, Julie Logan, for the budget presentation.
Thank you, Councilmember Bloomberg. Council members, Director Logan is going to go through a PowerPoint that we have prepared just to give a high-level overview of the proposed budget. We are very pleased to present a balanced operating budget to you this evening as part of this public hearing process. As you well know, we start this budget process in the spring and go through a number of different public workshops. We have one-on-one meetings with elected officials. We seek public input. We coordinate with our government partners. A significant amount of work is undertaken in preparation for this proposed budget. And throughout the year, we are working diligently as a staff to make sure that We are, one, looking forward to make sure that we have the vision and policy direction that the mayor and council has established, the vision, direction of the city staff, as well as the public. And we're also working in the present to manage the city's finances in the most judicial manner possible. And in that regard, I do want to just give special recognition to Director Logan for the incredible amount of work and professionalism and energy that she brings to this process. We have truly a tremendous team with her as the helm of our finance operations, and really a credit to all of our department directors, because they're not only managing the operations of their respective department, but collectively, we are doing it all as a team. And I also just want to give special thanks and appreciation to the mayor and the council for your sound policy that you provide on a day in and day out basis, really working towards the best interest of the community, which is what every single one of you do. And so we appreciate your support, we appreciate your guidance as we prepare and present this budget this evening. And for public information, all of our presentations and everything as it pertains to the proposed budget is located on our website. But most important, if people have questions, we encourage them to contact us, because we're happy to walk through every aspect of this budget, as well as the projects and initiatives that are outlined within.
Thank you.
Okay. Good evening, council members. It's my honor to present this public hearing presentation to you tonight, and I have to second all of Geeta's comments on the thanks to the staff and the city council members and the management team. It really is a pleasure to manage this type of budget process with such good professional, detailed input from everyone involved in the process. Kicking off here with some highlights of the budget. The 2023 proposed budget includes a balanced operating budget, as City Manager Newkirk mentioned, with operating revenues expected to exceed operating expenditures by $16 million. When the city states that it has a balanced budget, it means that operating expenditures will be equal to operating revenues or less than operating revenues. Proposed operating revenue of $88 million is expected to be 2% higher than 2022. Included in the proposed budget are $29 million of capital for infrastructure, facilities, equipment, including the Ravinia District Fire Station completion in 2023. Proposed capital funding is from a combination of operating revenue, grants, and $11 million of fund drawdowns from funds that have excess reserves pursuant to city-approved finance policy. The charts at the top of this slide show the trend of city, both total and operating revenue. 2023 operating revenue, as I mentioned, of $88 million is expected to be 2% higher than the prior year, and the 2022 operating revenue is also expected to be 2% higher than 2021. Significant drivers of the operating revenue increase include higher revenue from water sales and property taxes due to proposed increases consistent with the city's 10-year plan, as well as higher sales, state income, and state replacement taxes due to the city receiving higher state allocation from a higher population in the last census, along with higher revenue from legislative changes affecting sales tax. Total revenue is expected to be $261,708 million lower in 2022 and 2023 respectively versus 2021 and 2022 respectively due to non-operating changes. The charts at the bottom of this slide show where the proposed revenue is sourced from and where what funds that it is actually sourced and used in. The revenue sources demonstrate the city's policy of maintaining diversified revenue sources to keep the cost of city services as low as possible for the property taxpayer. So there are several assumptions supporting the proposed revenue. Operating revenue reflects current estimates, with most revenues robustly recovered from the pandemic, especially sales tax, state income tax, state replacement tax, permit fees, real estate transfer fees, and user charges. Parking fees continue to recover at a slower rate from the pandemic. In addition to the operating impacts, non-recurring revenue is impacted by no new debt proposed for 2023 and changes in transfers, property tax, tax increment, sale of assets, and other non-operating changes, as described in previously distributed budget summaries. The city's property tax levy is approximately 8% of the residents' total property tax bill. Each budget year, the city reviews fees and taxes to ensure they are fair, comparable with other communities, and that they support a consistent high level of city services. The 2023 budget includes changes for property taxes, water rate, ambulance transport fees, outdoor dining fees, and the payment in lieu of providing affordable housing. 2023 proposed expenditures are estimated at $113 million. 71% of city expenditures is dedicated to public safety and public works services. Now, given the most significant part of city expenditures is for the provision of services to residents, 61% of expenditures are either for personnel costs or contractual services. 26% of expenditures are dedicated to capital improvements, 6% is for transfers between funds, and the remainder of the expenditures are for debt service and other costs. So there are several assumptions that support the proposed expenditures. First off, on staffing, it's budgeted at 271.2 full-time equivalent employees, and reflects the continued increase in service and staffing following the 2020-21 pandemic-related staff reduction of 26.8 FTE employees, plus additional staffing to address the long-term needs of the community following the Highland Park shooting. Other personnel variances are consistent with the city's compensation plan, collective bargaining requirements, and anticipated higher revenue costs due to national insurance market trends. Capital improvements, as I mentioned, are $29 million for infrastructure, facilities, and equipment, including the completion of the Ravinia Fire Station. And transfers of $6 million are for capital and dispatch costs, and the transfers are from the water, motor fuel tax, tax increment financing, enhanced 911, sustainability, and general funds to the general sewer capital and equipment funds for related expenditures budgeted in those funds. A new resiliency division is budgeted within the city manager's office, focused on victim-related operational impacts of the Highland Park shooting, with $1.6 million and $3.8 million of cost in 2022 and 2023, respectively. The division consists of 4 personnel, including a full-time resiliency manager, a full-time victim liaison, a part-time grant analyst, and a part-time administrative and customer service specialist. The Resiliency Division is based on feedback from staff, government and resource partners, and the Department of Justice Office for Victims of Crime. It is anticipated that these positions will be in place for a minimum of 3 and up to 5 years, although ongoing review and assessment will be conducted by the city manager, the human resource manager, and their designees. Grants are being researched, although it is anticipated that a large portion of the non-personal costs will be funded from general fund revenue. Total fund balances at the end of 2023 are projected at $54 million, with the general fund projected at $34 million. Strategic fund drawdowns of excess reserves in several funds netting $11 million are proposed for capital improvements pursuant to city-approved finance policy. All fund balances meet or exceed city fund balance targets, and fund balances in excess of targets have been accumulated in expectation of capital improvements planned in the city's 10-year capital improvement program. All funds approach city fund balance targets by the end of the 10-year period. On November 28th, the city will hold a tax levy public hearing, and the city council will consider the 2022 budget, or 2023 budget. So that concludes the presentation part of the public hearing. Are there any questions that I can answer at this time?
Any questions?
No.
Any comments from the audience? I'll now take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
I'll need a roll call vote for that.
Councilmember Tapia.
Yes.
Councilmember Stolberg.
Aye.
Councilmember Stone.
Aye.
Councilmember Holloman.
Aye.
Councilmember Littler.
Aye.
Presiding Officer Bloomberg.
Aye. As you can tell, that's 6 ayes and no nays, so the public hearing is closed. Individuals who are unable to attend this evening's public hearing may submit written comments to the attention of the city finance director. The city council will consider an ordinance adopting the fiscal year 2023 annual budget and related items at the November 28th, 2022 city council meeting. That concludes our regular business. I will now take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, everybody. You can tell how exciting this was for me.
Speedy Gonzalez.